Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and welcome to October 2019's Q&A video. You may have noticed that we are back in the studio this month rather than kind of out in my living room, and that is because it's getting real dark real early here, and if I was filming this in my living room, I'm not entirely confident you'd be able to see me. This month I'm going to be addressing a handful of questions that I've been hearing a lot from a lot of different people on different sort of places and channels and whatnot, so rather than kind of putting out a broad call for questions for a Q&A video this month on my Facebook page, I have instead collected these questions that are like, oh, I've heard that a lot, maybe I should put that in a Q&A video. If you do have a question you'd like to see answered in one of these videos, please throw it in the comments section below. But without further ado, let's get started. Our first question this month is a fairly general, is X ingredient that is called for in a formulation the same as Y ingredient that I am considering purchasing or perhaps already have? The first thing you're going to want to do is to compare the INCIs, the INCI, the International Nomenclature for Cosmetic Ingredients. All ingredients that we use in our products have an INCI, so check to see if it is the same. If the place you are considering purchasing an ingredient from does not supply an INCI value, please shop somewhere else. That's a really important piece of information, and you should be able to count on your supplier for that very important piece of information. So if you can't find it, if it's not supplied by the supplier, please shop somewhere else. If those INCI values are identical, that is a good first step to yes, the ingredient is the same. If the INCI values are different, you should probably keep looking. If the INCI matches, your next step is going to be reading product descriptions. So for instance, refined shea butter and unrefined shea butter have the same INCI. So make sure if you need refined shea butter that you are checking the description for the shea butter for the product you're looking at buying to make sure that it is refined. Or if you're looking at buying an ingredient like dimethicone, dimethicone comes in a variety of different viscosities. So you can get dimethicone 1.5, dimethicone 350, dimethicone 1000, and these are all going to be different versions of dimethicone, and generally speaking, you wouldn't want to use one instead of the other. So make sure that you are reading those descriptions because again, the INCI is going to be dimethicone, so make sure that you are comparing what special and specific type of dimethicone the formulation calls for, and making sure that it corresponds to the product that you're considering purchasing or perhaps already have. If checking the INCI and reading the product description doesn't give you the answers that you're looking for, your next step would be to ask your supplier to get in touch with their customer service. But in some ways, I would sort of think that if a supplier isn't providing you with enough information to make these determinations yourself, you might want to consider shopping elsewhere, because suppliers should be providing you with plenty of information about the products that they sell, especially the core type of information that helps you identify what something is. So yeah, if you feel like you have to ask your supplier, you certainly can, but I would recommend shopping with places that give you enough information that you don't necessarily have to. Another question I've heard a few times this month is, why is X ingredient in this product? So this is a pretty simple thing to figure out for yourself through a bit of research. So the first thing you're going to want to do is research the ingredient that you're wondering about. What does it do? What are its jobs? And so a good way to do this is to look it up in the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia. The second bit of research you'll want to do is into the product. So you'll want to look at kind of two elements within the product. You'll want to look at what the product is supposed to do, and then you'll also want to look at the core ingredients, the core things in the product that the product needs to be successful. Once you have those bits of information sorted out, you should be able to kind of cross-reference. You could sort of say the product is a cleanser and it is supposed to cleanse, and then if the ingredient you have discovered is a surfactant which offers cleansing properties, you can kind of deduce that if the cleanser contains the surfactant is the thing that's making the cleanser a cleanser. Or perhaps you are looking at a lotion. Knowing that a lotion is an emulsion, a blend of oil and water, you know it will need an emulsifier. So if you were looking at something like Polo Wax or Olive M1000, you can deduce, knowing that those things are emulsifiers, that they are performing a core function necessary to the success of a lotion. They are our emulsifier. Something else to look at when you are determining why something is in a product is just how much of it is being used. So if you're looking at like a bath bomb formulation and it's over 50% baking soda, you can deduce that the baking soda is a large part of the structure of the bath bomb. It's definitely part of, the success and the function of the bath bomb as well, because in a bath bomb we have basic baking soda and acidic citric acid, and we put them together so when they get wet they react and fizz and it's all wonderful and fun and everything. But as 50% of the formulation, you can kind of go, all right, baking soda is a pretty dang important part of a bath bomb. So in addition to being part of the function of the product, it's also just part of the core structure and existence of the product. So if you were looking at an ingredient that's present in like upwards of 10% of a product, it's probably starting to be a more structural ingredient. And again, this is going to depend on the type of ingredient and the type of product and sort of so on and so forth. But yeah, if there's a lot of something in a product, start to also look at whether or not it might just kind of be the product. I've had a few people ask about how to mask the scent of an ingredient that has its own scent kind of going on within it already. So in the world of butters and oils, this is often things like cocoa butter, shea butter, macadamia nut oil, or the infamously stinky neem oil. In my experience, the best thing to do with scents like those, if you're going to be using the ingredient at a concentration where that scent is going to come through in the end product, is to just work with it. For something like cocoa butter, think about smells that pair well with chocolate. So things like peppermint or vanilla can be really, really lovely. Some people like the smell of like rose and chocolate or lavender and chocolate, so those can be great options too. If you're not sure if you're gonna like it, what I'd recommend doing, take your bottle of essential oil or fragrance, uncap that bad boy, take your tub of cocoa butter, and then just kind of do a little bit of wafting, get a little bit of scent of both. If you like it, cool. You'll probably like it in the end product. If you hate it, don't do that in the end product. You'll probably still hate it there. If you don't want the scent of a strongly scented natural butter or carrier oil to come through in your products, I would really recommend just buying a refined version of it and working with that rather than kind of getting into fisticuffs with the smelly ingredient in question when it's already in a product. And generally speaking, when you're working with a new ingredient, smell it. Smell it before you put it in something. So I know honeyquat is an ingredient that smells gross to my nose, at least. I really don't enjoy the way honeyquat smells. So just smell your products before you add the ingredient to the product. If it's used at a low usage rate, the smell might not come through, but even honeyquat at 1 or 2% can really make a product, to my nose, smell really fishy and unpleasant and not the sort of thing I want to put in my hair. So yeah, make sure you're smelling your ingredients and getting to know them before you start working with them so you don't accidentally make something really stinky. If you have made something really stinky, usually trying to save it kind of after the fact, once it's already been made, is kind of futile and often results in really gross scent blends, a combination of like neem and your favorite essential oil, and you kind of get this heavily fragrance, just overwhelming product that smells gross, and now you feel like you put a ton of something that you really love in it, like a valuable essential oil, so now you feel like you really have to use it, but it smells disgusting, and then you use the whole batch of it, and now your favorite essential oil is forever tainted in your memory with undertones of neem oil, and you can probably tell I have done this before. So yeah, if you make something that really stinks and you hate it, I would usually recommend either putting it on your feet or just getting rid of it, or seeing if you can find a friend who actually likes the way that smells, because sometimes it's just personal preference and sometimes it's just gross. But yeah, if you make something gross, don't put a ton of essential oils or fragrance in it trying to save it. You're probably not going to mask that scent to the point at which you like it. You're just going to make the product a lot more expensive, and yeah, if it smells disgusting, just like let it go. This is one of the biggest reasons we make things in small batches, especially if something is new to you. So that, yeah, if you hate it, throwing it out isn't a complete and total heartbreaker. All right, well, that is that for this month's Q&A video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and please make sure to go down to the description box below this video for helpful links pertaining to some of the things we talked about today. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.